Well, good afternoon, everyone. People will be coming in as I speak, and if they can't see me, they'll certainly be hearing me, and therefore may know that I'm Anne Lim, and I am the Independent Business Chair of the UK Innovation Corridor, and we're very pleased to be presenting this webinar this afternoon with the help of Chart Lane and Ross Sturley, and of course with the help of an incredibly prestigious and interesting lineup of speakers from the local authorities and from businesses involved in this innovation core. The innovation core is a new name for a critical part of the UK Innovation Corridor. Everybody knows the corridor runs from London to Cambridge and Peterborough. And the Central Zone Alliance, as it used to be known, wasn't exactly a punchy enough title for all the fantastic work that goes on in the 5 local authorities at the centre of the UK Innovation Corridor, who have come together with the support of the Essex County Council and Hertfordshire County Council, of course. They've come together to brand themselves, particularly for the purposes of attracting inward investment into the 5 boroughs that they represent. They've come together to form the Innovation Core. The authorities are Broxbourne Borough Council, East Herts District Council, Epping Forest District Council, Harlow Council and Uttlesford District Council. You're going to hear from some of them today, one of the chief execs speaking on behalf of all of the chief execs, and one of the leaders, deputy leaders, speaking on behalf of all the leaders. It's a real coalition of the willing. It's a real example of collaborative strategic thinking and working together in the interests of a single objective, a single shared objective. And that objective is actually, as I've hinted at earlier, to align inward investment strategy and economic development and the growth agendas of these very important parts of the corridor, and together to promote this as the place where, and wait for it because this is the focus of what we're talking about, where the research and development, the academic know-how that takes place in those wonderful universities in Cambridge and London at either end of the corridor, where those ideas are turned into, translated into advanced manufacturing, into services, products, particularly in the life sciences area, in the data sciences area, in digital healthcare and in med tech. This is where it all actually happens, where things actually get produced and done and made and sold and money is made, basically. They're not put too fine a point on it. So that's the Innovation Core. We have a prospectus which is being launched today, put together by this group of people who I've mentioned. And I have to say that of all the things I've done over the last 3 years as chair of the whole Innovation Corridor, the way this collaboration has come together over the last 12 months, particularly in a time when every local authority has been focused, of course, on the management of COVID in their area and the coming out of COVID in terms of people's health and businesses and community engagement. It is a phenomenal achievement that we've actually been able to get our heads above that together and look to the recovery, because actually this is all about what they have done will all be about how we can contribute to the recovery of each of the communities involved. So that is my introduction and take on things. You'll be very relieved to know that I shan't be saying any more. Now I shall simply be introducing the people that are going to talk about it from their individual and collective points of view. And we're going to start, of course, with the Chief Executive of Epping Forest District Council. I'll hand over now to Georgina Blakemore, speaking on behalf of all the chief execs of the Innovation Core. Off you go, Georgina.
Thank you very much, Anne, and good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for spending your next hour with us. The launch of the Innovation Court, really exciting. And I have to say, Anne, you covered some of what I was going to talk about there. So I will just outline probably 3 things from my perspective. And just to be really clear that the point of a unified proposition, I don't think can be underestimated in terms of the confidence that should give people who are looking to join the area, are already in the area, and absolutely drive the economic prosperity of the Innovation Core forward. So from my perspective, I'm not here as the EFDC Chief Exec. I'm here to represent the 5 district boroughs and to an extent the counties as well. All of those 7 partners, I think the unification of those partners is really important to drive the best benefit for business, residents, visitors of the area. So I'll move quite quickly on, because I'm sure that Councillor David Holliday will also be talking about the kind of political angle to that. But it is important that we are together in this place, and it only plays to the strengths of the core. I'm going to go through some of the prospectus with you, and particularly pick out a few statistics just to start the presentation, but then mostly talk through the investment ready opportunities, because I think it's important who's here already, who and what's ready and available, and also a little bit of a snapshot as to what's down the line, and then a little bit about people and the quality of life. So for me, this is about people. We have to, this isn't just business. Employees make business, and I think that the core's got an awful lot to offer there. So I'll go through some of that as well. I will stay under 10 minutes, I promise. So in terms of the core, some stats, and I didn't want to hide behind a PowerPoint, so I am going to read some of the statistics here. So 273,000 people are in employment, but importantly, the growth forecast is already 58,000 more jobs by 2033. Really impressive employment statistics there. These an education element, so clearly skills and education and skills are really high on the agenda across this core for us, and 34% of our population are educated to at least degree level or have the equivalent professional qualification. So a start of a really good base there around people coming in with the skills to be able to run businesses. 32,570 existing businesses, but again, 72 hectares of employment land is available. So that view to the future is really important. Great connectivity. I think if you're looking at a place to be connected, then this core is absolutely hooked up. The road network, the M11, the M25, the A120 is really very, very easy to move from in between, in, out. So you get the rural and the urban benefit with the transport links as well. Importantly, we have London Stansted Airport, 200 international destinations from there. That may be the pre-pandemic figure, but actually the £8 billion worth of cargo in the last year moved through that airport. Importantly as well, rail connections, so 8 tube stations in just Epping Forest alone, and there's rail links between London, Cambridge, West Herts and the Harwich port as well. So the links around connectivity are absolutely there. High speed broadband cover, 100% across the digital innovation zone. 61,500 new homes planned, mostly in the Hollow Gilston Garden Town development, a phenomenal Garden Town project coming forward there, and it will be all around sustainable travel, modal shift, excellent homes planned. So places for people to live, and I'll come on to that, finish off with that at the end. I think it's really important, and I've already mentioned it, but the local schools and further education colleges, so the Harlow College, Hertfordshire Regional College, and the Stansted Airport College as well. But easy access to universities, so Essex and Hertfordshire, University of Cambridge, Anglia Ruskin, and the Arise Innovation Hub for Health, Performance and Wellbeing. So quite a rounded bunch of statistics there that put the core in a very, very strong position. So I'm going to move to the investment ready opportunities, and I'm absolutely delighted to be on this today with three business reps here as well. So we have Raytheon, Charles River and Farmer on this webinar today to bring this to life, and hopefully we'll get some of the challenges as well as some of all of the prospectus pitch, because I think that's really important around the realism of what's going on here. But we've got some world-beating solutions. It's a really unified proposition for investment and a very, very fast-growing region, as some of those statistics have just shown. Very highly competitive, affordable industrial and commercial rent levels. Great location, I've already covered that. The Harlow Innovation Park is home to Anglia Ruskin's University Arise Innovation Hub. So that's health, performance and wellbeing sectors. KO Park is the home to Raytheon UK, and you'll hear from those later. Chesterfield Research Park is absolutely integral to South Cambridgeshire Biotech Cluster. We have the Park Plaza West is a new science and business park opportunity, 90 acres, next to Junction 25 of the M25. Maxwell's Business Park and Technology Centre in Broxbourne, 150,000 square foot of new space to be split between B1, B2 and B8 uses. There's a number of other developments in and around, but I think, and importantly, the thing that I think is really coming to this core area is it doesn't stop with what's already on the near horizon. There's a number of opportunities coming down the line, and certainly within the patch that I'm responsible for, which I said I wouldn't name drop, but I'm going to say that North Weald Airfield is something that I'm particularly excited about, and that's in its master planning stages right now. So we have some Charles River Laboratories, two centres of excellence, one in Chesterfield Research Park, as I've mentioned, Farmeron, premier research and development service provider. That's in the Innovation Park at Hoddesdon, and I know you'll hear about that later on. We've also have GlaxoSmithKline, state-of-the-art respiratory manufacturing facility in Ware, which I think is quite relevant right now. So they're just an example of the investment ready opportunities that are here. But I think, for mostly, one of the things that is very, very important, and to me as a chief executive of a local authority, it's about the people. And there's a good section around quality of life in the prospectus, and businesses do not thrive without people in them. We all know that. I think that there's an urban-rural mix around the core that gives people choice. So looking for employees and retaining employees, attraction and retention are really important, certainly for me in the area that we work in the public sector, but it is generally for business anyway. So there's some award-winning places in and around the core. There's I'm going to just read out some because they are in the prospectus, but I think for me to point out to you that it's the choice across the innovation core that really stands out for me. So you can be rural and green. You can be right next to, if you look at the south of Epping itself, you can be right next to central London access. And choice is very important. So green space, we know that that's come to the front over the last year to be able to get out and about in fresh air. But it's across the piece. So we have some amazing countryside and villages and thriving market towns in East Hertfordshire. That was elected UK's best place to live in 2020. Good old Epping came second in the list of 18 best small towns in England to live. Fantastic Forest, probably don't need to tell you that. The Harlow and Gilston Garden Town is a new garden community with 16,000 new homes up to 2033. And that is an absolute example of a number of authorities. So that's East Herts, Harlow and Epping Forest District Council, together with Hertfordshire and Essex County, coming together to deliver a phenomenal garden town proposition over the next few years. So there is hopefully some confidence there to be gained from a number of the partners in the innovation core already working together on something that is really quite groundbreaking in some of its sustainable travel aspirations. So we got Brookfield Riverside. That's a retail, civic and leisure centre in Broxbourne. Waltham Abbey, Saffron Walden, the Lee Valley Regional Park, all available within the area that we're speaking of. And if I've missed anybody out who's in the audience, I apologise now, but I didn't have that long, so I didn't particularly want to read out from a list either. But my point about quality of life is that it's a great place to live, and that work-life balance, the choice of rural or urban is all there. And I hope that by the time we're through this hour, that the innovation core is something that's very, very high up on the agenda for incoming, and that the people who are already here are really happy that they've made that choice so far. So I hope I'm on the panel, so any questions on any of that, I hope to pick up later. Thank you, Anne.
Well, thank you, Georgina. And yes, do put any questions that you might have, participants, in that Q&A section, and we'll come to them in due course. Of course, chief execs collaborating is one thing, and I mean to do that during the time of COVID, as I've just said, when they've been basically running the recovery of their communities and keeping communities going, is one thing. They're paid to do it, as it were. But politicians collaborating and leading together is quite another, especially as many politicians are drawn into lots of different strategic partnerships and collaborations, and in terms of prioritising, it's a very, very difficult thing to do as far as timing and energy and resource. That's why it's terrific that Broxbourne have taken such a lead in this, and I'm going to hand over now to Councillor David Holliday, who is the Deputy Leader of Broxbourne, to say a little bit about the political leadership behind this. Thank you, David.
Good afternoon. As Anne said, I'm David Holliday, Deputy Leader of Broxbourne Borough Council and portfolio holder for the environment and our transformation programme. As mentioned in the introduction, the Innovation Corridor aims to bring together collaboration projects across public and private sectors to enhance the employment, economic development and sustainability opportunities for our local businesses, our residents, and our visitors. Broxbourne sits in a unique position in the corridor, bordering the North London boroughs and about halfway to Cambridge, with great access, as Georgina said, to airports, mainline rail stations, highways, offering good transport links across the entire country. Broxbourne's also ideally placed for access to economic centres, as well as to open countryside, parks, recreation centres, making it a great place for employment growth and for leisure. And in this collaboration, we've been looking at how the north-south link can actually be reinforced. And to that end, the Council's corporate priorities include creating a thriving economy, offering business growth for jobs, maintaining an attractive environment, and ensuring that the councils are effective and responsive to their resident and business needs. This will be even more important now than ever following the COVID-19 pandemic. In conjunction with local plans, ambitious programs have been developed to secure the future prosperity of our boroughs, and they're all set out in ways which the council intend to deliver on its aspirations for residents, businesses, and future investors by ensuring that the right environment is created to allow this to happen. Now, whilst it's recognised that businesses and investors will deliver future economic growth, it's the responsibility of our local authorities to ensure that we're creating the right environment for growth. This involves many, many factors, including listening to the local businesses and developing an ongoing dialogue to help lead, influence, and coordinate opportunities where they are appropriate, providing help and support for existing businesses, ensuring there's enough land and premises to enable businesses to thrive, grow, or relocate to the individual boroughs, making it as easy as possible for new businesses and commercial ventures to develop, helping town centres regenerate through this period of rapid change, encouraging and supporting the development of people's skills, qualifications and aspirations, developing transport and digital infrastructures, and creating lively and vibrant places which make people want to stay and invest, and which promote dynamism, opportunity and prosperity. Through creating the right conditions for growth, we can help secure our ambition to have more employment opportunities and more skilled, higher paid jobs locally, thereby increasing the wealth of our residents and decreasing the need for travel. The plan is aimed at ensuring that our boroughs become places that are open for business, places where young people in particular have plenty to do, have high, bright future, and want to stay or come back to after going on to higher education to live, work, and bring up their families. Places which form a destination of choice for entrepreneurs and business investors and inward investors. Places where everyone is proud of and are fit for our 21st century living. And as we exit COVID and start to understand the implication of a year's worth of disruption to jobs, education and life in general, and start seeing the consequences of our Brexit decisions, it's increasingly important to embrace a changing world and to move forward to grow strong economic and business solutions. As part of many boroughs' local plans, locations across the borough have been identified for future development to grow and enhance business opportunities already present across our boroughs. In Broxbourne in particular, we currently have large SME base of companies operating from industrial sites at Hoddesdon and Cheshunt, and though some have suffered during COVID, many have continued to operate where they have been allowed to. Georgina mentioned developments such as Park Plaza West, Maxwell's, Brookfield Riverside, Lakeside. They'll bring much needed employment to our borough in particular, and growth in existing locations such as the Hoddesdon Business Park, Farmer-Run Biotech Incubator, and Volker Fitzpatrick will provide employment opportunities to those studying in local schools or returning to the borough following their further education. In addition, these are specific to Broxbourne. The Brookfield Riverside development, as mentioned by Georgina, and the Waltham Cross Town regeneration will provide the retail, leisure and social activity that are needed to make free time enjoyable and fulfilling, creating a sense of place and ownership. Developments like Park Plaza are going to be ideal locations for science parks, and through efficient design, these locations will create the onward growth for manufacturing, small-scale manufacturing of technologies developed across the northern parts of the sector. Other improvements that are being made is improvements to the road and transport networks. Rail systems are being enhanced. A good example of a local environmental change in Hoddesdon recently was the opening of the new road into one of the area's largest business development parks, largest business parks, with a £10 million investment in the road into Pindar Road industrial estate. Brookfield Riverside will be a development that will bring retail, civic and leisure services to the borough and to the southern sector of the corridor, and providing a garden village, giving access to the multitude of local facilities that were mentioned again by Georgina earlier. The Digital Innovation Zone recognises that the changes that have taken place in much of people's lives through the COVID process means that everyone is more reliant on digital connectivity and the benefits that are delivered through connectivity to businesses and residents alike. Some of these benefits will be realised as the broadband capability, already very good across the borough, gets better, enabling connections to doctors' surgeries, to the new Princess Alexandra Hospital, which is within the digital innovation and corridor zones, and bring advantages to business, education, social living, and every aspect of resident, business, and visitor life. Links to larger businesses in the area, as mentioned with Farmer On, Volker Fitzpatrick, and the like, will promote schemes that encourage greater engagement between education and businesses to establish a STEM skills action plan for the area. So in summary, the points to sort of remember: economic development is key to the thriving economy, offering business growth and jobs in this sector. The whole area is developing strategies to provide good quality employment space, upskilling local residents, promoting the major employment sites ready for inward investment, and encouraging cleaner, sustainable, greener growth. This is all going to be done whilst continuing to support local businesses, enhancing local digital infrastructure to support the economy, enabling sustainable growth in local employment for residents by encouraging the creation of high-skilled, high-value jobs on the identified sites, raising aspirations and skill levels of residents by working with local businesses and education partners, and fostering the development of town centres as vibrant locations for business and leisure, supporting the visitor and hospitality sector to develop survival and growth strategies following the impact of COVID. Thanks for listening, and I hope that if it wasn't in there and not in the prospectus, you'll raise the questions afterwards.
Oh, that's terrific, David. Thank you. And I'm glad you've just drawn attention, not just to some of the things you've spoken about there going on in Broxbourne, which is very, very helpful, but to the prospectus itself, because just to let everybody on this call know, you will be getting a copy of that immediately after this event. There've been a couple of questions in the question and answer section already, which our colleagues are answering, very specific ones about the Princess Alexandra Hospital and north-south connections. Vital, of course, to the three businesses we're going to hear from now. So let me first turn to Karen Williams, Director of Operations at Charles River. I mean, why are you located in the Innovation Corridor, Karen? What do you like about it, and what do we need to do to improve it for you? Over to you.
Thank you ever so much. So I did have a couple of slides to share, but it's not important that I do share them. It's not letting me share them at the moment. But good afternoon, everyone. I am delighted to be here today. It's great to be able to be involved in these discussions and to be able to share our story of why Charles River is in the area, what our history is, and what keeps us in the area as well. I think that's really important. So as described, I'm Karen Williams. I am a Director of Operations for Charles River within the UK. So Charles River is a global leading provider of essential products and services that support the drug discovery and early stage development process. So we are a global company. We operate in approximately 100 facilities around the world. And in 24 countries, and our workforce is just over 18,000 staff now. We, as a contract research organisation, we are heavily involved in drug discovery and the provision of services for companies to deliver those new products to the market to improve our quality of life. And we're very proud to say that we've been involved and support more than half of all of the drugs that have passed through the FDA over the last 2 years. So we do provide a wide variety of specialist services to help the pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies, government agencies, leading academic institutions from all around the world. And we work with them collaboratively to accelerate their research and drug development efforts. So in the central section, you can see that being a large company, we're of 18,000 strong, where do we fit into this bigger picture within the sites in the UK? We've got 5 basic modules or operational units within Charles River globally, which include basic research, discovery, which I'll come back to, that's where early discovery sits, safety assessment, we have clinical support, and also manufacturing. So today I'll briefly go into a little bit more detail on the early discovery team, as I said, that's the area where the facilities are within the innovation core corridor. And just to give you a little bit of background of where we are. So on the bottom part of the panel, we strive to deliver services to our clients. So through the drug discovery processes that we help our clients with, we're a service provider. So we provide all of the lab-based project management services in order to help them to deliver their drug discovery projects. Some of them we work collaboratively with when they'll have people in their labs doing equivalent work to us, and sometimes that we will work just with them. If they're a venture capital funded company with no facilities themselves, we will do all of their wet science project management and help them through the pathway of drug discovery. We're very innovative. We have intellectual input into these projects. We're not just pairs of hands that do the work. We contribute scientifically, and we've been, we get named as authors on patents, and 86 of our projects, we have development candidates which have gone through into clinical studies, which we're very proud of. So going on to the next slide, please, which is the second and last slide that I have, is just wanted to show you our locations. So although we're early discovery, and today we're in a meeting around the innovation corridor in the UK, we're actually a UK European team. We have 4 facilities in the UK and 2 facilities in Europe. So as a sort of an operational team, we have to work across those boundaries to work effectively. So just focusing on the map for the UK, this focuses on, we've got a site in Chesterford Park in Saffron Walden. That's our mothership effectively. That's our parent home. We have a facility in Harlow, which is the point number 2 on here, which is not just around the corner from the old GSK site near to the new Public Health England facility. We have some facilities in Hatfield, which is point 4, and then also a small team at Discovery Park down in Canterbury. So just looking at the history, we've actually got an interesting history. So we had a history before Charles River purchased us. We were purchased in 2014. And so that we were already a footprint in the area way before that we were purchased by Charles River. So that happened in 2014. They bought 2 companies which had been startup companies in the area. So they were Argenta and Biofocus. So Biofocus is site 1, which is the Chesterford Park site. So that's the site I mentioned there. And then Argenta was another local startup company, and the origin of that was in Harlow. And we used to be competitors. But over the years, we were bought by Charles River, and we've become one unified team. So the M11 becomes an incredibly important infrastructure for us. I work between the 2 sites in non-COVID times. I'm currently located in Harlow because we're trying to reduce the spread and be good citizens of COVID. But yeah, the M11 corridor is really important for us. But when we've been around for over 20 years now. So Biofocus is slightly older than Argenta, and 20 years we've been in the area, and we're very proud to be in the area. So the question is, why did we start here? And it came down to all the things that have already been discussed. It was around the infrastructure, it was around the access to rail, access to airports. I know we've mentioned Stansted, but actually we work globally. So a lot of our clients are traveling in from North America, and so they may, even for Americans, they're quite happy to travel from Heathrow to Harlow or Chesterford Park. It's only a couple of hours drive, and they see that as a major advantage. We're also very dependent on the rail network. So certainly for our staff which work in the Harlow site, we have a lot of staff that work in the in the North London area. And we have people from, we have a huge area across all the sites where we attract staff from. So the other important factor for us is because we're a drug discovery company, we do use a variety of different skill sets of individuals. So we're very dependent on local labour, and we have apprenticeship schemes, for example, which tie into training and developing new people. But we also are very dependent on specialist knowledge. So we like to recruit locally, and it's brilliant that we have Cambridge University and the London universities on our doorstep. But actually we also recruit from around Europe, and that's fantastic for us because we have diversity within our organisation, and we have many cultures within our business, which helps to drive our internal sort of benefits within the business, but also helps us understand our clients' cultural perspectives as well. So being in the innovation corridor gives many opportunities for us. We're very happy being located in these areas, and we hope we'll be here for some time. It would be remiss of me, I guess, for it all to be so rosy and light about why we're in the area. And I think some of the things that we have been discussing previously in this webinar today are some of the areas which are probably some of our challenges. So the first one, which none in this team are responsible for, but Brexit is causing us a little bit of a headache. We're working through it, and we're working with other government teams to through that. But some of our import and export taxes have started to increase significantly, and there are some staff concerns around the right to work in the UK. So that's one area that's important for our staff, because we do have such a broad range of staff from different sort of European nations. And the second one is just the local infrastructure. Chesterford Park has got great access routes to it. There's a train station nearby. The park itself has a bus service, so staff can travel very, very fairly and nicely to site. Harlow's a bit more of a challenge. I think one of the questions that have come up is around the congestion around Harlow. I actually live not on the other side of Harlow, past Gilston Park. So I drive every morning past the new junction 7A, which is being built, and I think that will be a massive benefit for the area. But we are looking forward to that. Certainly because I travel between Saffron Walden and Harlow quite frequently, so it will be a huge benefit for me. So, I'll wrap up there. That was a very top overview of why we're here, some of the challenges we face, but equally, I just wanted to reiterate that we are delighted to be in the area, and it's great that it's being recognised as, the corridor, because we span quite a few areas, with it being between Harlow, Chesterford Park, Hatfield, and into Discovery Park. So thank you for your time, and I'll answer any questions later if anybody has any.
That's great, Karen. Thanks for all that information. It's terrific to hear about the company and all you're doing and why you're here, and your openness about the fact there are still things that need fixing. And we know that, and that's why we're working together. Although we can't sort Brexit now, that's done, isn't it? Look, let's move straight on, because I'm aware of the time, and it's great to have John Jackaman with us. He's Head of Engineering Global Sensors at Raytheon. So let's hear the Raytheon story, if we may. About 5 minutes, John, if possible.
That's right. Cut me off if you need to. My name's John Jackaman. I head up the engineering group for Raytheon UK Global Sensors. Raytheon UK is a UK landed company. We employ over 2,000 people in the UK, around 300 in the KO Park development in Harlow. Wider part of Raytheon Technologies company, which is Raytheon, Collins and Pratt & Whitney, the jet engine makers. So it's a very large company. I think overall we employ something like 180,000 people worldwide. So obviously the UK part, much smaller section of that. In the global sensors team, I run around 120 engineers. That's today's count, I think. So we run about 70 in Harlow and about 50 up in Glenrothes in Scotland, developing all sorts of products, but mostly centered around air traffic management systems. So aiding your communications and your transport links. We do a lot of GPS system work, especially around the anti-jam, making sure it's safe and giving you the correct system performance. We do all manner of power solutions for vehicles, ships and aircraft as well. All our engineers use the latest tools and techniques. We do model-based designs, simulation techniques to ensure that we've got the right skills and capabilities and products moving forward. All our engineers support product development, which is for manufacture in the UK and manufactured in the UK, and also all those products really go for global export as well as UK sales. So we support an awful lot of intellectual property. We develop quite a lot of that within our teams to make sure that we're generating IP for UK design skills. We've been located in Harlow since Harlow. I think that's a fair thing to say. I think we were part of the original companies that moved out of North London when Harlow was first developed. So Raytheon and basically the forerunner of Raytheon, which was Cossa Electronics, have been in Harlow since the late 50s, beginning of the 60s. So we have a long history in the area. And I think that shows really that the area does attract technology-minded people and has the ability to attract those people. I think that's shown with the transport links that we've got, our ability to move into London, come out of London, go out up to Stansted Airport. I can be at my desk in Glenrothes by 9:30 in the morning when COVID permits. So, you know, I have that ability to get to other sites that Raytheon run across the UK very easily. And that's key. We draw from a wide skill base as well to support that wide product range that we do. So obviously being able to attract the right people in that technology focused area is really important to us. I think this innovation call will help us do that. It will support that ability to get the skills and the people in that we need, because it is about people. Raytheon are a very strong supporter of STEM. I think in 2019 we were given the accolade of the most influential STEM employer. We support all our local schools with a number of innovations from a STEM perspective. We do the quadcopter challenge, where we've challenged a number of schools in the local areas around our sites to do a development of a quadcopter. They pilot it, they have a great time and learn about engineering in the process. We do a number of other things. We run the Enthuse partnership, where we sponsor teachers to do CPD qualifications. And I think my biggest challenge is making sure that we've got that core STEM skill sets moving forward. I think that's really where I would like to see an enhancement of anything that we're doing here. Push that ability and the skills of the people that we've got, because, you know, we've got to attract people into the area. Those are the type of people we want, and those are the people we want to grow and maintain.
That's great, John. And if you don't mind, I think you're coming to a natural end, but I will bring you to a close there, if I may.
Absolutely fine.
On the skills, the way the innovation corridor as a whole works is that all our partners kind of unite around areas where they have complete common interest and endeavour. Infrastructure development, which we've touched on, inward investment, which indeed is this. Inclusive economy, which has also been mentioned today, but skills for local people at the right level. So very, very keen to take that agenda forward. And to our third and final employer on this call now, Martino Picardo, who's from Pharmacon already been, Pharmaron already been mentioned, the Pharmaron incubator. So tell those of us who don't know, Martino, enough about this, why you're here and what you do.
And thanks, Anne, and thank you for inviting me. And if I may start by providing some further validation for the Innovation Core and the launch of the prospectus. If you want to see what can be achieved in your corridor, have a look at what started in 2012 at the Stevenage Bioscience Catalyst as nothing but 2 empty buildings next to GSK, and is now considered to be a global epicenter for cell and gene therapies, one of the best in the world. So congratulations. And all the other speakers, from Georgina to David to others, have all talked about people, infrastructure and money. And that's what you need, and that's what you need to keep building. And David's conversation around creating that environment, that's what good councils do, is absolutely right. And that leads me on to Pharmaron. So as you can see, I'm a bit of an imposter. I've been hired hand to bring in some expertise around incubation that came from Stevenage and the University of Manchester to help the Pharmaron guys, who are, like Karen, a contract research organisation in the region. So Karen's already explained why they're here, but they're growing and they're going to create more jobs. And they want to show that if you build an incubator and a grow-on space next to one of the biggest CROs globally, does it make the blindest bit of difference to UK life sciences, UK jobs, UK economy? And can we work, as we are already doing, and we're grateful to David and Broxbourne Council and the Hertfordshire LEP for providing the starting pump priming support to do the demand study, the feasibility, and to get us off the ground. So I'm going to stop there, because this is just to get you excited about a new project, and more of it later. And I'll be delighted to come back in a few months and tell you how we're getting on.
Wonderful, Martino. I love your style, and also appreciate your conciseness and indeed support as well. So that's takes us to our last speaker, very fittingly really, Naisha Pillane, who's currently Senior Advisor for Large Capital at the Department for International Trade, but I think now totally public knowledge, about to become, might not get the title totally right, Chief Exec or Director of the Harlow and Gilston Garden Town. So central player in the Innovation Core, but Naisha's work at DIT has also been very, very significant in terms of promoting this area. So over to you, Naisha.
Yeah, thank you, Anne, and really delighted to be here. Really inspirational listening to everybody, and couldn't want more of a platinum induction session than this afternoon. So thank you for that. Just to say a few words about international investment, actually, and the role that it plays in the UK economy and why it's important. It really provides a very significant contribution to business turnover and job creation across the UK. And it's going to be a really essential part of delivering on the government's wider objectives, including levelling up, clean growth, innovation and job creation as we go forward through to recovery. So just to sort of put some numbers around that, in the 5 years between 2014 and 2018, the UK received about 350 billion inward investment. That's estimated to be around £1 of overseas investment in the UK generates about £4 to the wider UK economy. And what that means to local places over that time period to the end of 2019, FTI had created about 56,000 new jobs and safeguarded a further 9,000. And so while we know that only about 1.5% of UK businesses are foreign owned, they generate about 40% of business turnover and employ 16% of people. That's 5 million people. So it's really important to us, international investment. We want to keep it coming to the UK. And the good news is that investors want to keep coming to the UK. So we're the top destination in Europe by some margin for FDI, and actually second in the world behind America. And there's lots of reasons why that is. But what is government doing in terms of making sure that happens? As you'll know, there's a raft of domestic policies that are around growing productivity, fostering jobs, and economic growth. And when government talks about ambition to be a science superpower, it's really talking about the ability to nurture the whole environment to find ingenious, practical and timely solutions to the problems that we have today, about building greener, being healthier and developing a more resilient economy and a more resilient population. And at the central part of those ambitions is the UK wanting to be at the forefront of industries of the future. So that's about life sciences, it's about AI, it's about advanced manufacturing, all the things that have been mentioned by other people today. In particular, government has recognised the importance of R&D, and this time last year, the Chancellor announced a record increase to go into R&D, committing to reaching 22 billion per year by 2024, which is massive. And little did we know that the journey from then to here with the pandemic would show us the vital importance of science and innovation, and how much we need to invest in that. So what does that all mean for the Innovation Corps? Well, at DIT, we leverage our position at the heart of government to help overseas businesses and investors to successfully do business in the UK. And to do this, we need to have easy and effective pathways to understand the opportunities that the UK has to offer. And the Innovation Corps is just such an excellent way to make that happen. So we have staff across the UK and our international network who then connect international demand, British goods and services to UK supply. And our role then is to build relationships, make introductions and provide advice and guidance in and out of country. And that's as well as ensuring those opportunities are credible and investment ready. So just to say a little bit about the offer, this is such a fantastic area of opportunity and it's in a brilliant location, and I wouldn't want to come and do the Director of Harlow and Gilston if it wasn't. 1 hour outside of London is a frequent investor request alongside high connectivity, and you've got that in buckets, combined with affordable real estate, land values, access to skilled labour. Those are all key attributes of investor profiling. And the sectoral offer that you're focusing on is high demand in terms of global trends. So the UK is regarded as one of the top 3 global hubs for life sciences, behind Boston's and San Francisco. But 82% of that investment that comes into the UK goes into the Golden Triangle, and you're part of that. So absolutely fantastic. In terms of digital tech investment, we've grown 4 times faster here than the rest of Europe. It's just phenomenal. So you can see that having a unifying single point of contact that allows easy access to understand what's going on is really important to the investor when they're comparing opportunities on a global basis, which is how they're looking at it. So I think my final point is just about building investor confidence. So clearly the commercial proposition is everything. So just setting that aside, as well as having confidence and trust in the investment, there has to be confidence and trust in the local business and the economic and social environment. And in particular, that's about the governance and capability of the civic landscape. Leadership, local vision, political stability, they're really important to the investor because they want to know that if they come here, prospects are good and they're going to be good for a long time. And I think what the Innovation Corps is showing is that collective leadership, that's already been demonstrated. It's more than just words, and that gives us such a very strong platform to build on and take forward for the future.
Super. Look, thanks, Naisha. So helpful to have your experience of government and the information you've given us there in terms of the international comparators. It's very easy, I think, for people who are responsible, democratically elected people responsible for their local authority, and of course accountable to their local authority, to get their head above the parapet and get this collaboration going for a start, and then to think, oh, we are part of actually something that other people see as globally significant, and where that investor confidence, as you called it, actually depends very much on how much we do join things up and play to each other's strengths, really, and keep that confidence of inward investment in an area going. But to be amongst the likes of the Californias, the Silicon Valleys, certainly you mentioned the Boston people and the Philadelphia. We've been working with the North Carolina Research Triangle as well. There are big global players in this space, and this innovation corridor, and at the heart of it, the innovation core, are really capable of being globally significant, as you say, particularly with a government that has a focus on being a global scientific superpower. So you can see why I'm so excited about all that's been achieved. There have been a few questions in the Q&A section, but they have been answered, I hope satisfactorily, as we've been going along by panelists and by colleagues who I'm just going to ask to show their faces now, because David Burrows and John McGill are really the two men. John McGill's reluctant to show his face, even though it's St. Patrick's Day and he is of Irish origin and we should be applauding him. Here he is. And we've got the branding of the Innovation Core nice and green in honour of the St. Patrick's Day as well. But no, seriously, these two guys working with the chief execs and working with the economic development officers who are around and in the participants, have been able over the last 12 months, as I said at the beginning, to get this together, to provide that single point of contact and get people to work in the way that they have to produce this prospectus. There are still some outstanding, of course, things that need to be tackled. There's a lot more collaboration and partnership and promotion that kind of needs to go on. But having launched this today, I'm very, very confident that we've got a great foundation on which to build. I think with that, given that I'm pretty sure we've answered all the questions in, well, there might be one new message here. She says, oh yes, you can see the prospectus is what the message says, but you are all going to get it. But perhaps if you can stick that somewhere, Ross, as well, you'll be able to get you'll be able to get the details of the prospectus out to everybody. I think with that, as we draw to 3 o'clock, and in the hope that we have excited you, encouraged you to take part. We've left you still with some questions about how you as an organisation, you as an individual could get involved. The point of contact is David Burrows or John McGill, and then they will filter that through to the chief execs and to the EDOs and to the business organisations. We've got the chambers engaged here today as well. The LEPs have been mentioned. We will make sure that we keep this going, because this is the beginning of a conversation and a very exciting one that will help the country, I think, and certainly help your communities and your businesses recover post this pandemic. So look, thank you all. Thank you, Ross, for doing everything. Thank you to all the participants. I think at one stage we had over 70 here. What happens is when I finish blubbering on, but I am genuinely wanting to thank you, but I'll then do the blurb. Thank you all for all the input. Zoom ends very brutally and very quickly. Ross just turns us off and we all go. So with all of that, and a huge renewed thanks for taking part. Stick with us on this journey, because it's going to be really, really exciting and positive for everybody. Thank you all very much. Have a nice afternoon.
Thanks, Graham. Thanks, Ross, and thanks to all the businesses who spoke.
No worries.